So you are in California right now.
I am in California, yeah.
I think that's approximately like 3,500 miles away.
And I went to basically the same school my entire life with a group of like 16, the same students for the whole time. So my friend experience before college was really oriented in a village-like kind of community. When I went to college, I just had no idea how to make friends. It never occurred to me that I'd have to make more friends after college. You always talk about your college friends. You don't talk about people after college. Who are those after college schmucks?
So I'm under the impression that most people end up moving to the same city as all the friends that they went to school with, and then they all live together, and then they're friends forever. But we kind of did it wrong.
They're all really genuinely independent people. And also, like, it was traumatic. I didn't get to hug my friends goodbye.
We didn't get graduation.
And so much. Like, COVID is not a host, but at the same time, I wish I would have just given you a hug at the airport.
We didn't have
COVID.
But you know what? Like, we didn't know, and it's not our fault.
And it was the right choice.
And you were scared.
I was very panicked. Global pandemic, and your girl goes through a tailspin. And I regret not being able to better manage that for the sake of my friendships, because now we live across the country. I don't know when I'm going to get to hug you again. That's tough.
Like a relationship with a significant other, when your friend is truly your friend, they're with you through your experiences, whether they're there or not, because we carry each other.
I just haven't had that energy to really like emotionally engage with people. I just took a moment to just hold them in my heart. And it's been really cathartic because there's such a sense of guilt that comes with being a long distance friend. Like, I always feel like I'm trying to catch up or make up for not being able to participate in my friend's life, and just taking time whenever I feel that kind of, oh my God, I haven't done enough, or I haven't like been enough, to just hold that person in my heart and be like, hey, I don't know if you can hear this, but I love you and you're doing great and you're amazing. I have friends that are basically like me and are like non-communicative. You won't hear from them until they're ready to be heard from, which I don't think is actually the types of relationships that I want to have, but I feel like it's the types of relationships that have been shown in my upbringing. That's really the way that my parents engage with their closest friends.
I remember when we lived in the same town, a street across from each other, and I never saw you. I always felt like you never wanted to be seen. So I didn't want to be a burden onto you.
I have no idea what any of my neighbors' names are. And I have lived in the same house on the same block for my entire life.
That's so opposite of who I am and how I grew up.
I know.
So I always know that you're the kind of friend you're going to be there on your terms. We kind of got in a fight.
Yeah, we did. Both of us had sent these like absurd passive-aggressive texts back and forth for like
in a group message.
Yeah, it was just like messy. It was like a series of the challenges that are faced when you're trying to have a consistent and supportive relationship with a person that is on the other side of what feels like the world from you. Scheduling is so hard, and it means such different things to different people. When you have kind of a friendship where two people are really living two very different lives, just in the sense that they're like two people that aren't living in community anymore. There's not even a common time zone that like things are happening. I felt so upset that it didn't feel like you were making the time for me. And as far as I understood it, you were so upset that you didn't feel like I was making the time for you. And yet we defined those two different things in such different ways that while we were fighting, we didn't even realize that we were fighting about the same thing, which was basically just, I really miss you, and I want to spend time with you, and I don't feel like you're hearing me. Like, I don't feel like I'm being valued.
You caught on, and I give you so much credit for this because I was not in the space to be able to be mature about it. And I was just like, Sophia doesn't want to be my friend. Like, she can't show up. Like, this is ridiculous. And I was taking it very personally, and you were wise enough to say, this isn't personal because clearly we love each other. So let's just talk about that. In essence, we both just really miss each other. So let's try to figure out a way to make this work. And that was honestly where the idea to make this video started, because long distance friendships are harder than long distance relationships with a significant other. Because with a significant other, you communicate really upfront before you go into long distance relationship about what that's going to look like. Yeah. You're checking in about it. You say your expectations clearly. And then when you're in a friendship, you're like, oh, we're just friends.
Yeah.
We don't need to communicate how we're going to communicate because we're friends. We don't need to do that.
Yeah.
But you do.
You do, baby.
You do.
But also, like, I was totally mad. I was just like, wait, like, is this even, like, your friend? Come on. When I realized that we were just being lonely and needing support from the other person, we just talked about ways to connect. It brought into the world and our relationship to, like, all these other ways to just show and check in that we, like, cared about each other. When I took the time to remember, why am I friends with this person? It made coming to resolution so much more important than my own feelings. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got your feelings hurt. Like, that's okay. Is that it? Like, is this what's gonna break up your friendship with Hannah?
And you were like, a phone call is a lot of energy. I schedule my day because I have a thing that I don't have a lot of energy every day. Yeah. And so if I'm going to have a phone call with you, I want to know about it so that I can be there. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, okay, well then let's schedule it. Because that need is that need I understand. And I can accommodate that need very easily. And then you were like, and you know what, your need is understandable. How about instead of just calling me, you shoot me a text, hey, I have some free time, are you available? And then it's an invitation in instead of a bombarding, like, busting through your door. At least I'm, hello, let me in. Or, like, just walking into your house unannounced instead of just calling first, hey, can I come over? And then it's like, oh, okay, we can set the expectation of how it's going to be. If something happens in the moment, maybe, like, you're not going to be the first person I call. Because I don't want to, like, unload on you. I don't want to put that energy on you. But it also means we can plan a phone call. You're present for it. I'm present for it. And, like, it works. Mm-hmm. And we get to do that deep phone call. And it gets to be an hour or more long. And that works for both of us right now.
Yeah.
And maybe in another stage of our life, like, maybe you'll have a baby. And maybe you won't have an hour. When you actually communicate with your friends, so good.
If you could give, like, 4 or 5 questions to ask your, like, a friend that you want to have a long-distance relationship with, like, what would they be?
When you're in pain, what do you need the most? For me, when I'm in pain, I just need my friends to be there. I need to be able to talk it out. And I feel like you and I are similar in that way.
So talking isn't the only way for me to understand the 8 streams of consciousness that are going through my head at one time. I want to have a friend that I call once a week at the same time.
What if we had a coffee date?
That would be so fun. I love it.
And, like, then we could just sit, have a cup, and when that cup is finished, we hang up.
That sounds great.
Oh my gosh, I love that we just figured out another new way to communicate with each other well.
It's like, that's something that I, like, think about a lot. It's like, oh my God, like, I want to hold on to these friendships. They're really important to people to me. But I am a very in-person person. I just started FaceTiming people. I had never FaceTimed people before COVID at all. It was absurd to me. And now, it's the only way I talk to my friends. I'm learning how to be a good friend in the virtual space, but so much of my good friend traditions are in the physical space, like feeding people, doing things for people, taking people places. It's important to have these conversations in terms of, like, what are your expectations? What are your needs as my friend? Because then I find ways to no longer feel guilty for not being around, or for not making you a birthday cake, or for not doing something special here or there. You know what I mean? Like, it.
Yeah. Well, for the first time this year, I'm starting to become a gift giver. Oh, I'm cleaning out my closet. Sophia would look really good in this dress.
Yeah.
Let me just send it to her. Or you are harvesting seeds and you're like, I had these tomatoes in my house and now I want you to have those tomatoes, and then you send them to me. It's not even that I'm seeking out gifts, but for the first time in my life, I'm seeing things in the world and I'm thinking, my friend needs that.
Yeah.
And my friend needs to know they mean this thing to me, and that when they use this thing or wear this thing or eat this thing, they'll think of me.
And that's honestly just, like, what's great about mail. There is no better joy than getting a letter.
Oh.
Like, you just feel so special. The effort, especially if it's handwritten. When I know it's my friend's handwriting, it just imbues words with so much character, and you can hear them saying the words to you. Text is great, but when you go through the effort of sending something to somebody in the mail, that's a lot of time spent thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ask your friends these questions. What time zone are you in? How often would you like me to contact you? What are 3 modes of contact that make you feel special? When, how do you like to organize your time? Mm. And I think if you ask each other those questions, you'll at least start getting to know how to value people on their terms.